We're just days away from the lights shining bright in Hollywood and WrestleMania going back to LA for the first time since 2005. And the main event for night 2 is set. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And honestly, this is the most unpredictable WrestleMania match in a long time. You just don't know who's gonna win. On one side, you have Roman Reigns on the verge of history, having already made it at the same time, nearing 1,000 days as Universal Champion, having beat legends, the best in the company, a landmark run that's going to be looked at for years and dissected for even longer. On the other end, you have the scorching hot babyface in Cody Rhodes, who made his return to the WWE last year and honestly has taken it by storm. A 6-year absence and 15-year overall journey that could culminate at WrestleMania. So it leads to the question, who should win the main event? This debate is honestly one of the most head-spinning and confusing ones out there, because on the surface, you could go, oh, Cody should win or Roman should win, but each argument has an equally valid counter-argument. I know this is a tough subject, so I'll try my best to be as fair as I can, because fans are divided, critics are divided, and honestly, I don't even know. But let's talk about it.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
In 2022, Cody Rhodes made his return to the WWE after 6 years away, rebuilding himself and proving his worth to pro wrestling as a whole. In a shock move, he left AEW and signed with WWE. And since his return, his popularity has been on another level. Reactions deafening. The wait now has been for his coronation, crowning WWE's next top babyface. The case for Cody to win is pretty simple. Fan investment in him is really high right now. If there's ever a story and a time to have Roman lose, it's now. At this moment, he's really the only one to do it. Over the past X amount of years, a huge criticism of the WWE has been that they don't let anyone ascend to the top. So having Cody be the guy to end a historic reign like that would be the ultimate moment, and for him, it would be perfect to wrap up his comeback. If they don't, it could be one of these situations where it becomes hard to capture that magic again. The thing that I've been hearing a lot is that he should lose, that they should do it at SummerSlam. And I know they've been treating SummerSlam a lot better recently, and don't get me wrong, anyone who follows this channel knows I love SummerSlam, but a title as historic and as lengthy as this one, does that show really hold the same weight as losing it at WrestleMania? I feel like it's just not the same. It's got to be a moment where all eyes are on the WWE, their biggest show of the year. Objectively, SummerSlam and WrestleMania are not the same when it comes to investment and overall popularity. SummerSlam being the endpoint for someone who's held it as long as Roman has, to me, just doesn't feel like the right stage. A Cody win would freshen things up and create new storylines, also with the possibility of splitting the titles, maybe even the Universal title being retired in some way, so you could create an entirely new championship or bring back one from days gone by, which would in turn let more people have world title reigns who have just kind of been out of the scene for a while. A win from Cody, as feel good as it would be to end WrestleMania, would literally make WWE feel like a new era, as cliche as it is to say. It's literally going to freshen up everything from the stories to the champions. It'll be a reset period, essentially after WWE's season closer. Also, having a champion that's there on a weekly basis in Cody or someone else if the split does happen will help a lot. Let's keep it real here. Roman Reigns during WrestleMania season has been missing a lot of shows, which if this was a case where he was an exclusive Raw or SmackDown star would make sense, but he's got both championships. Let's not goalpost move here. When Brock Lesnar had the Universal title in 2018, he appeared on Raw 3 times between Fastlane and WrestleMania. Roman, with his appearance on the SmackDown before WrestleMania, is gonna have been on 2 Raws and 2 SmackDowns in 2 months, and he has both championships. He really should be there to build up a story as important as this. I've seen a lot of people also say that it's important for Cody to lose here so he has some vulnerability and more sympathy towards him. And again, this is such a head-spinning debate that you can rebuttal with, if they don't do it now, then later might be too late. Hear me out. You don't do it in anticipation that fans will care even more a few months down the line because of Cody's setback. But What if they don't? What if whatever you present doesn't end up sticking? What if his popularity isn't the same? What if someone else catches fire? Then you're in a situation where you have remorse for not pulling the trigger at WrestleMania. I asked you guys on Twitter what you think, and I'll be referencing some of those responses throughout the video. John, shout out to John, longtime supporter of the channel, said that very thing, that he needs to build sympathy. That's a fair point, man, but you say redemption arc. This is the redemption arc. The 6-year story is that arc. We can all say, oh, they should hold off, make the story bigger. What if it doesn't work? He's hot right now. What if he's just lukewarm by SummerSlam? The setback for his character would also basically be, well, I lost my entire career, and guess what, guys? After 6 years away and telling you that I would win, I lost again. So here, cheer for me again, because I promise I'll do it this time. Think about that. For all the people on the setback side, that's essentially what it is. How are you going to cheer for a guy that lost a majority of his career, came back to overthrow the biggest star in the business, only to lose again? Seeing Roman spiral out of control would add a new element to him, and I know what you're saying, the tribal chief character is built on those titles. Exactly. When the king's got no crown, where does he go? Why not have the bloodline crumble in the space of 2 nights, have Roman go away for a bit, kind of freshen things up, and then close out the bloodline story completely? I don't know, man. Like I said, each argument has a valid counter argument. Every time I write something down, something equally as valid comes up. For Cody, the story is simple. Finish the story, to ascend to the mountaintop and overthrow WWE's top guy, proving that his hard work and years of dedication to the business was worth it, and making that statement on the biggest show of the year. Now let's talk about Roman.
Now the whole world can acknowledge me.
Roman's reign has been historic. I don't think there's any question about that. What's on his side is how close he is to reaching 1,000 days. The other counter argument being made is exactly that. Roman is really close, and WWE love their stats. Things that they can mention for years and years to come. Things they can put in promo packages, videos, or even reference on commentary. You're not going to see a championship reign like this happen again. Not in this lifetime. So what's conflicting is, why would you come so close to 1,000 only for him not to reach it? Why don't you just get him there? That way it's an even bigger talking point that makes headlines, something that cements him even further. You continue his reign by having him take on people that he hasn't faced, like Bobby Lashley, Gunther, maybe even a returning Randy Orton. There are still opponents for him to face, but like everything I'm saying, there's a flip side to this, and it's two-sided. Should Roman win and continue on against those guys I mentioned, it would basically be feeding everyone to Roman. Another counter-argument to the counter-argument is, the more tantalizing story is Roman not getting that number and instead going berserk because he was so close. The narrative is the bloodline is starting to slowly crumble. Them losing in the space of 2 nights will only add more to that story that's been in the works for as far back as January. So he'd eventually lash out at Jay, and the story would end the same place it began for Roman in 2020, at SummerSlam. For Roman, he's already solidified. iBeast on Twitter said that Roman needs to get to 1,000 days to solidify this as his era. The thing is, even if he doesn't, this is already solidified as his era. So potentially grounding the momentum of Cody for a statistic could be a really tricky situation. There was an interesting point brought up by @It'sTheRiddler. He said Roman not getting that 1,000 achievement is more interesting for his character, it being the one blemish he needs to continue as a character, and that makes sense. It would add a different layer to him. How does Roman cope with that? Where does he go? Does he go berserk on the entire roster and then lash out at his family, and then his true colors come out? Which is another factor we have to look at, and a reason as to why a Roman win could be justified. If Roman were to keep the championships, the Usos could lose. He could continue to hold it over their head, which slowly snowballs out of control, leading to the complete collapse of the stable. There's a lot of hints being sown in that the bloodline isn't as strong as Roman makes them out to be. So for the side that doesn't want Cody, maybe the puzzle pieces fall in place and Jay comes back to be the guy to end up beating Roman. Roman could hold it over the Usos' head that he held his end of the bargain, but they didn't, which in turn leads to Jay's slow story moving forward as he continually gets berated by Roman. Another point for Roman retaining is him holding onto the championships is better for business. He always does well at whatever it is, and whenever he's there, people tune in. Should the WWE be sold, it's more stable for them. If Roman were to beat Cody, it would also reinforce the point that Roman is the final boss of the WWE. Not even this guy who had everything going his way could topple him. The simple fact that Roman's big match main event experience was just too much for Cody, who's never tasted that glory before. So the fact that Cody fell to a guy who's been here, done that before, while he's never tasted a main event on his own, does kind of make sense in a weird way. I try to be as fair as I can on this channel, and just by virtue of reading and processing what a lot of different wrestling fans say, some people are really tired of seeing Roman at the top. It's becoming nauseating for some, and they just want it to be over with. If I were to pick one of these guys, I'm honestly pretty conflicted. That 1,000 days mark is something really special and something that we're never going to see again, but I'm gonna go with Cody just because it caps off the story of a guy who built himself right back up. His popularity is sky high right now, and I'd say you gotta do it now. You gotta do it while he's hot. Roman's been fantastic during his time at the top. Let's have him now tell his family stories. I personally think that's more interesting. His dominance has been remarkable, but seeing him set off by a loss would add so much more, in turn leading to something between him and Jay, the entire collapse of the family. I know it's probably not going to happen, but what if this snowballs into a Rock match? It's a hypothetical, as everything is, but if I had to choose, Cody is the guy I'm going to stick with. Like I said, you have it right in front of you to do it. To not pull the trigger could lead to a problem down the line where either A, Cody's popularity burns out by the time you do want to do it, B, you have no one to build up, and in turn the whole situation becomes rushed and you end a historic reign in an anticlimactic way. It's right there for you to do. It's at WrestleMania. Roman's done it all. He's won it all. Aside from a statistic, there's not that much more. He's already at 900 plus days. That statistic speaks volumes enough in today's day and age. As you can see, whatever point you bring up, there's always a counter argument. Both sides have a case. Honestly, I don't know who's winning, which makes this even more fun. I'm gonna be there live for my first WrestleMania. I'm pumped. But seriously guys, this debate is so confusing. So we've had this short discussion. Continue it in the comments. Who do you think should win? Is it time for Cody to finish the story, or should Roman hit the 1,000 day milestone? Let me know in the comments below. This thing is as unpredictable as you can get. With days left, the anticipation is only getting higher. I'll catch you guys in the next one.